Today I will be sharing 5 of my all-time favorite ways to use Hawaiian rolls. Let's get to my kitchen and let's get started. To kick us off today, we're making these breakfast sliders. So over to my cutting board, I have about 9 pieces of bacon on my cutting board. Cut the bacon into 4 smaller pieces just like this. This will help the bacon cook a lot quicker. This will also help the bacon fit on the sliders a lot easier. Now that I'm finished cutting up my bacon, over to the pan on my stove, I'm adding the bacon right in there. I'm also going to add in about 1/4 cup of water. I like to add water with my bacon while it is cooking just because it helps the bacon cook evenly. But over to this large bowl, I just added in 8 eggs. Next, I'm adding in 1/4 cup of milk and then a teaspoon of salt and pepper. I'm just going to whisk my eggs up while my bacon is cooking away on the stove. Now that my bacon is nice and crispy, I'm removing it to a plate lined with paper towels and I'll set it to the side. Now I just removed all but 1 tablespoon of the bacon grease in my pan. In that same pan, I just added my egg mixture and I'm going to scramble my eggs up now. Cooking the eggs like that in the bacon grease just gives them added flavor. But I have my Hawaiian rolls right here. I'm slicing them in half horizontally just like this. On the bottom side of the Hawaiian rolls, I'm adding 1 cup of shredded cheddar cheese. Next, top the cheese with the scrambled eggs, then the bacon, and then 1/2 cup more cheese. If you want to add any other toppings to this, you certainly can. You could add different cheeses if you'd like. You could really go crazy with it. But I'll set the Hawaiian rolls to the side. I'm working on the topping now. So in this little bowl, I have 3 tablespoons of melted butter. I added in 1/2 tablespoon of brown sugar and a tablespoon of ranch seasoning. Mix it super well, and then you are going to brush this on top of the rolls. Bake this in a preheated oven to 350 degrees for about 15 minutes or until they're golden brown on the top. These breakfast sliders are so easy to make. That topping butter mixture on the very top of the sliders just sends these out of the room. They're just that good. They're absolutely delicious. You need to try them. Now we are making these cream cheese danishes and they are so good. We're going to get started on the cinnamon sugar mixture first. It's just 1/2 cup of melted butter with 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and mix that together super well. I'll set it to the side and I pulled out a 9x13 baking dish. I'll spray it with nonstick spray and I'm adding my Hawaiian rolls right into the baking dish. Now cut a little square with a serrated knife just into each of those rolls, just like this. You could save those little squares for something else. You could make like a little egg casserole out of the little squares. You can make croutons. You could really do whatever you want, but just set them to the side. Now with that cinnamon sugar mixture, brush it all over the top and inside of the rolls. Now we're getting started on the cream cheese filling now, so it's just 8 ounces of softened cream cheese, 1 egg, and 3 tablespoons of sugar. Beat this together super well until it is smooth like this. Now place spoonfuls into your Hawaiian rolls, and then you are going to bake this in a preheated oven to 350 degrees for about 15 minutes. And while this is in the oven, I am getting started on the glaze. It's a tablespoon of powdered sugar, 2 tablespoons of milk, and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. I'm just going to whisk this with my whisk. And now that my danishes are out of the oven, you could let them completely cool down or you could serve them warm like I did. Just drizzle that glaze over the top and then you could serve them up. They really do taste like a cinnamon roll mixed with a Danish. They are out of this world good. When I say this is my new favorite treat, I am not joking. These are fabulous. The inside is like soft and buttery. They are so good. Now we're getting started on these meatball sliders. I have a large baking dish right here. I'm spraying it with nonstick spray. Add your Hawaiian rolls into your baking dish. You could really use any type of Hawaiian rolls, any brand for any of these recipes today. Now cut and remove circles on the top of each of the rolls. This is kind of going to make room for the meatballs. We'll place the meatballs in the rolls. Trust me, it works out so well. But now that I am finished with this, I'm going to set my rolls to the side. side. I'm going to get started on the garlic butter mixture now. It's 3 tablespoons of melted butter with a tablespoon of minced garlic, a teaspoon of onion powder, and a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. Mix this together super well. Now brush this mixture all around and inside of the rolls. After you're finished with that, just sprinkle some Parmesan cheese and mozzarella cheese over the top of the rolls. You're going to set the rolls to the side. I'm going to get started on the meatballs now. So I have some Italian style frozen meatballs. You want to thaw out about 12 of those meatballs. Mix the meatballs with about half a cup of pasta sauce. Just mix it so the meatballs get coated well. Now place 1 meatball inside each of the rolls just like this. With any remaining sauce left in the bowl, just place it over the top of the meatballs, then sprinkle the remaining Parmesan and mozzarella cheese over the top. Now cover this tightly with foil and bake this in a preheated oven to 350 degrees for about 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, remove the foil and bake it for an additional 15 minutes. And these meatball sliders are so good. They are such a fun twist on like regular meatball sub night. They are absolutely delicious and such a perfect dinner for this time of year. Now we are making these pizza sliders and you are in for a treat with this one. I have my rolls right here. Slice your rolls in half horizontally just like this. For all of these recipes today, you want to keep your rolls together. Don't pull your rolls apart. Keep them together. But now on the bottom side of my rolls, I added 1 cup of shredded mozzarella cheese. Pour 1 cup of pizza sauce, or a cheaper way like I did is you could use a can of tomato sauce with seasonings in it. So basil, garlic, and oregano, and it tastes just like pizza sauce in my opinion, but it's cheaper. Now I'm layering large pepperonis over the top, or you could use small pepperonis. Sprinkle a cup more mozzarella cheese on the top of that. If you want to add other pizza toppings to that, you could do that too, but we kept it simple with pepperoni and cheese today. Now I'm making the Parmesan topping mixture. It's 3 tablespoons of melted butter mixed with 3 tablespoons of grated Parmesan cheese and a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. After I mixed that well, I pulled out my 9x13 baking dish and add your pizza sliders into the baking dish. Brush this butter mixture over the top. Bake this covered with foil in a preheated oven to 350 degrees for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, remove the foil and bake it for an additional 10 minutes. These pizza sliders are absolutely delicious. This is one of my new favorite dinners. You can make this for like dinner, like I said, or you can make it for lunches or a fun snack. This is like the perfect twist on boring pizza night. Now we're getting started on these French dip sliders. I'm going to begin on the glaze first. I have 5 tablespoons of melted butter in this bowl. I added a tablespoon of minced garlic to it, along with a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce and then a tablespoon of sesame seeds. Next, I'm adding in a tablespoon of this au jus gravy mix. It's not the whole packet. We will be using the rest of the packet here in a moment. I'm going to mix this together super well, then I will set it to the side. I have my Hawaiian rolls right here. I am going to slice my Hawaiian rolls in half horizontally, just like this. Now I am going to place about 6 slices of provolone cheese to the bottom of the Hawaiian rolls. Over the provolone cheese, you are going to place your roast beef. You could use any type of roast beef that you would like. Over the top of the roast beef, you are going to drizzle it with half of the glaze that we just made up, not the entire glaze, just half of it. And then over that glaze, you are going to add 1 cup of French fried onions. These French fried onions make this recipe outrageously good. So does that glaze. It is amazing. But over the top of the French fried onions, I'm adding 6 more slices of provolone cheese. Place the top of the rolls over the top, and my little helper was very excited for dinner on that night. But I'm going to brush the top of the rolls with the remaining glaze. This will bake in a preheated oven to 350 degrees for about 8 to 10 minutes, or until the cheese is melty. And while this is in the oven, I'm getting started on our au jus. So I added the remaining packet of au jus into this pot on my stove, along with a 1.5 cups of water. I'm going to bring this up to a simmer and let it thicken while whisking it. And now that our French dip sliders are out of the oven, you could serve them up. We served them on a plate with some of that au jus to dip them in. This is like a simplified version of French dip sandwiches. This is like so easy to throw together. That sauce on the side is amazing. If you're a French dip fan, you will love love these.